Good morning, everyone. We're super excited we're super excited to be here today on behalf of the amazing Jess Burns of Grubhub. I'm Brad Hoos with the Outloud Group, and I do understand at the end of our talk today, we're going to be able to do a little bit of Q&A, so feel free to open up your Advertising Week app and fire some questions to us throughout. I do want to start with a story. And it's a type of story that everyone loves. It's a first date story. So a couple of years ago, I was on a first date with my now fiance, and we were getting to know each other a little bit over dinner and started to share a couple things about myself. First, like a lot of marketers I know, I enjoy a good cocktail every now and then. And second is I'm a big fan of milkshakes. So if anyone has thoughts or recommendations on a place to find a fantastic milkshake, please come find me afterwards. So the conversation kind of evolved, and next thing you know, we find ourselves transitioning from grabbing dinner to going to this seminal steakhouse in Detroit called the London Chop House. And they are famous for what is known as a Hummer milkshake. So I don't know if many of you know what a Hummer milkshake is. I certainly did not, but it is this really intriguing libation that combines liquor, so it has Kahlua and rum, together with a milkshake, right? And so this is great. We're sitting there, we're on our first date, and I'm gonna combine two things that I really, really like, and I get ready, and I have the Hummer milkshake, and it's very meh, right? It's just a complete letdown. Like two things you love together that are painfully average. It wasn't so great. Which, of course, now as a marketer, I started thinking, what's the story associated with this? And I see so many people gravitating towards Instagram for influencer marketing. And it got us thinking, well, there's two fantastic things, which are video and influencer marketing. And yet, so many brands are not combining those two things together. So when you combine those two things together, is it really just a meh, or is this a total miss? So we wanted to kind of dive into this a little bit more. So like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about an influencer, and then we're going to talk about video. So first, when it comes to influencer, this is a space that's growing very rapidly. So at the Outloud Group, we've been doing influencer marketing for over 10 years, which kind of makes us dinosaurs in the space. And we certainly have grown alongside influencer marketing. And so the industry is forecasted to be $10 billion next year, which I'm sure is no surprise to anyone in this room. And the big question is, why is influencer marketing so successful? Well, one of the reasons it's so successful is that people hate to be sold to in general, but they love to be told about the cool next thing by someone they've opted in to hear from. That's influencers. Creators are someone that people trust. There's a lot of noise out there when it comes to brands telling their message, saying, hey, we take data privacy really seriously. People have a hard time believing that, but influencers cut through that noise and create a signal as opposed to noise. So that's something that's really effective for influencers. I guess you could probably summarize the status of influencer marketing with three statements. First, nearly all marketing leaders understand the importance of influencer marketing. Second, nearly all, I should say there's only some marketing leaders who really understand how to do influencer marketing right. And third is that almost no one knows how to measure influencer marketing correctly. And so we wanted to dive into this a little bit more, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. But before we can go any further, we really want to understand the context of what's happening with video in today's landscape.
Yeah, it goes without being said, but video is king, essentially. I think everyone and their grandma knows that by now. Video is everywhere. It's 63% of internet traffic. When we're talking about engagement and performance of video, tweets are more successful, more engaging with video. Facebook ads and boring banner ads are more engaging with video. And I read recently a stat that said if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1.8 million. And a lot. So if that is, one stat alone to convince you, I don't know what it is. So, when you think about influencers and the importance, like Brad said, in video, one of the things is that we contemplate is, well, why is Instagram still being considered for influencer marketing? Why have marketers still used Instagram when video has been so successful? So we want to dive a little bit into kind of the influencer marketing landscape to showcase kind of where marketers are investing their dollars. And we kind of look at it on a spectrum, and you have channels that are very static but scalable, so that's like the LinkedIn and the Twitters of the world. And then you have channels that are very dynamic, I would say risky, and they're really hard to work on and develop work for, and that's more of the YouTubes and the Twitters of the world. And Instagram kind of sits somewhere in between. It's not as dynamic, but yet, marketers still use it. So why? And I love Instagram. We love Instagram for Grubhub. We love the platform because it's so sticky. I mean, how many times have you checked Instagram this morning? I think I've done it probably 20 times, if not more. Those likes are just like so warm and fuzzy. And it's great for scaling content with nano influencers. As a marketer, it helps you control content and message, which gives me a lot of security. And then if you're a brand that has a visual product, it's great for that. But when it comes to video, not so much. And then I think, as far as like influencers and Instagram and how Grubhub uses them, we still very much use them. But what we use them for is more UGC. It's really an extension of our product pipeline. And the best way to describe Instagram in the Grubhub world, it's like our digital mood board of food porn. Like if you go on our Instagram right now for Grubhub and Seamless, like tell me you don't crave a grilled cheese sandwich. It's just like ooey gooey cheese, and it's the most amazing thing. So that's how we kind of currently use it.
Yeah. Well, and so Jess talked about a lot of the positive things about Instagram that are out there, and I want to chat a little bit about some of the hesitations that brands should have when using Instagram and as an influencer platform. You see, the number one thing that creators do really well is tell stories, and they tell stories that connect with their audience, that their audience trust. And it's really hard to tell stories with using static content. It's really hard to tell stories with no sound. It's really hard to tell stories with a very distracted audience. Yes, people check Instagram all the time, but they do not sit and consume the content in ways that they do on other video platforms. And like a lot of humans, the biggest strength of Instagram is also its biggest weakness. And so let me unpack that a little bit. So when it comes to Instagram, we see brands gravitating towards Instagram because they can control the content. It's a static image. I can provide you, the creator, with a whole set of images, or I can get to choose out of 20 different images which image I want to use. I can choose the copy, right? There's platforms that allow me to scale putting out these static images in static copy very easily. Boom, influencer marketing, right? Kind of, because again, influencers are storytellers. And when a brand is trying to control things, they're trying to use brand voice to communicate with influencers when influencers are perfect for brand advocacy. So there's a very important distinction there. Brand voice, the brand curates the language, the tone, the style in which you communicate things. Brand advocacy, you've got to let go of all that in order to be effective. And when a brand can let go and say, hey, creator, you know how to communicate with your audience, really, really good things do happen when it comes to influencer marketing, but it's hard to do that. And we see a lot of brands say, we know we need to do influencer, but they're not doing influencer right because they're still trying to own that control. And so this is a little bit like fool's gold. So I'd encourage everyone to just think about that and that really important distinction between brand voice and brand advocacy. So summary of Instagram, great platform. I personally love it, on it all the time. Recognize that it's great for communicating things with your brand voice and certainly on your brand's pages, but with influencer, it leaves things a little bit short. Yes, even though I understand there is some video associated with Instagram stories, and yes, Jess and I both recognize that IGTV could become something that's really big in the future. It's just not quite there yet. And where we prefer to spend our time and focus is on these really fantastic combinations of things, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or like bringing together video together with influencers. So we're going to talk about a couple of different types of video here. We're going to talk about live streaming and Twitch, and we're also going to talk about video on demand and YouTube, and get into some of the best practices and of course how you can measure that.
So I want to talk a little bit about Twitch. Grubhub has been participating in Twitch and gaming for the past year. So we're still pretty new at it. I think everyone is at this point. And why do we get invested? I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves. It's a $100 billion industry that's bigger than TV and movies combined. It's massive. And Twitch streaming has seen year-over-year growth of 28%, and that's total watch time and users. So tremendous growth. The average user spends 95 minutes on Twitch. 95 minutes, it's insane. And their core demo is about 80% male, millennial male, which is notoriously a hard demo to target. And one of the stats that I find really compelling, just because as an organization we invest a lot in TV, is half of users spend 20 hours a week on Twitch, and that's compared to 4 hours of TV. So again, it's a really, really sticky channel, and one that we thought was perfect. And going back to the PBJ reference, because I love it, really Twitch and gaming and Grubhub is a perfect pairing, right? So you have a streamer, a dedicated streamer who's practicing every day, kind of sequestered to his desk or wherever he is streaming. And then you have this like really passionate viewer that is super excited about this streamer doing well. You have a captive audience as well. So when I think about gaming, it's like, I think like it's the new Netflix and chill for us. It's like Grubhub and gaming go hand in hand. But measurement is a little nebulous, and I think you guys have probably all read kind of in the trades about like how people want to get, brands want to get involved in Twitch, but how do you measure? And when we were thinking about measurement, as a performance marketing group, we were thinking about other kind of measurement methodologies that we currently use for performance marketing. And the one after, spending a lot of time on Twitch, on the platform, really learning about the streamers, we thought that why not use our TV measurement framework to measure this? And it makes sense, right? When you think about Twitch as a media channel like TV, you have networks kind of analogous to streamers. And then you have different ad units, and we like to think of those as integrations with streamers, and we kind of measure those on like a short form to long form format. And so what we did was we developed kind of integrations with our gamers. We essentially time-stamped all those integrations. We ingested those into our measurement platform. And then we tracked session traffic after those timestamps. So we were basically evaluating these integrations on kind of a cost per response level. And then we use that metric to optimize these integrations over time. So we can get smarter about which streamers we partner with, when we partner with them, how many integrations we do, what games should we partner with them on. And so it kind of opened the aperture of like how we leverage this channel as part of our media mix. And it's been really successful so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Oops.
And here's a little sizzle reel of some of the integrations to give you a snapshot of what we've done with my favorite Twitch streamer, Myth.
Myth,
Yes?
have you been eating well?
Of course! Girl, we got this Grubhub! Are you kidding me? Big thanks to Grubhub for sponsoring today's meal, man. Exclamation point Grubhub in chat. With Grubhub, you never have to stop playing. Grubhub has the largest food delivery service in the nation. You can't live all your life ordering food. Yes, I can! I can do it with Grubhub. Do my Grubhub dance. Thank you, Grubhub, for the food. I appreciate it. I'm gonna eat you now. That's up, boy. Focus. Bye-bye.
And the running joke around the office is every time we get a delivery for lunch, someone yells, "Girl, I got this Grubhub." It's like my favorite thing to do. And Myth is adorable.
In fact, every call that we start together, Jess opens it with that. it's kind of awkward sometimes.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird, but fully embrace the gaming culture. So we talked a little bit about measurement, and right now, we are using a TV measurement kind of methodology and a kind of a cost per response metric. But I would say that isn't a silver bullet. You have to look at kind of investment this more holistically. Live streaming, especially on Twitch, it's really noisy. If you've ever spent some time on the platform, you have the integration going, you have a rotating logo, you have viewers like commenting in the chat box, sending money to their streamers to be able to have them play more. Brands are dropping promo codes. It's just really, really noisy. So you have to take all of that into consideration when you're measuring this channel. So as far as kind of what I see as kind of tips for a successful integration into Twitch, that's the number one thing. The second thing is you have to find a great partner that understands this community in this space, like Outloud. I think we went into this very naive, very green, and they've been able to help us navigate which streamers are trending and performing well, which platforms we should invest in. We've actually gone from Twitch to Mixer, which is owned by Microsoft, and that's been really successful. And also this space is growing every day. Depending on the performance of one streamer on a specific game, like that 16-year-old that won the Fortnite tournament, can catapult your career. The second thing is, I think, optimization and experimentation in this channel is really critical to learning. Again, this channel is very, very new. Most marketers don't know how to measurement, so that constant experimentation is pretty critical. We're optimizing our streamers on a kind of a monthly basis across that response metric, and we're experimenting with new platforms like Mixer, like I mentioned. And the second thing, and Brad touched on this a little bit, is you have to provide some loose guidelines for these streamer integrations, but you can't handcuff them when it comes to the integrations either. You kind of have to say a little prayer and let them do their thing. And so far for us, it's been really successful, but with the help of Outloud, we've been able to kind of navigate which streamers are a good brand fit for us. And then I think lastly, this live streaming is a bit of a risky channel. For the Seamless brand, we actually just live streamed our first concert with a band called Arizona. So Twitch was the first toe dip, and now we're going full concert. And if you're not comfortable with it, I think VOD, video on demand via YouTube, is a really great solution. If you want to get invested in gaming but not take the big leap into the live stream space.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I think that's a perfect segue because with Twitch, there is a little bit more risk. It doesn't work for every brand. It's a perfect fit for Grubhub, a food delivery service, certainly a perfect fit for anyone in the gaming space, but it's not necessarily a perfect fit for someone that's targeting moms, as an example. And so we're going to move from Twitch, which is live, and a little bit more specific to something that's a little bit more in the fairway for a lot of brands, and that's YouTube, and specifically YouTube influencer marketing. And so given that everyone knows YouTube, but not everyone knows it from an influencer perspective, let me just give a really quick overview of what happens on YouTube for influencer marketing. So first, like Jess said, the creators are going to get talking points. For us as an agency, we talk with every single creator every single time live before there's an integration. So there's quite a bit of time that's invested to make sure you talk with that creator. And then when the creator goes live, one, you'll get a preview of the video before it goes live. So that's something that some brands aren't aware of. And there's going to be 3 primary calls to action where a URL or some call to action is going to be featured. So 1, the creator is going to verbally say it. 2, the URL is going to be shown on the screen. And 3, and perhaps most importantly, is there's going to be a clickable link in the description so you can track the attributable traffic associated with the campaign. So that's just kind of a 101 in terms of YouTube influencer marketing. We're going to get into the measurement in a bit. But first, I just kind of want to talk about the landscape. So YouTube's big, right? 5 billion views every single day on YouTube. And I think one element that's a little bit underrated for a lot of brands is actually the #2 search engine in the world as well. So there's a real big opportunity for brands to try to optimize how they're turning up in the YouTube search with the help of influencers. But we're really not going to focus on that here today. So YouTube's great because you want to fish where the fish are. This is a fishing influencer, Rob Turkla. His audience is extremely loyal. As you find, there's tons of these niche audiences on YouTube where there's a huge engagement, and you can hit markets and segments of people that are just really hard to hit elsewhere. But that said, this is the #1 question we see all of the time, which is how the hell do you measure YouTube influencer marketing? And what we see is really there's 2 different types of brands that come into the space for YouTube influencer marketing. The first type is folks that have historically been big on TV and recognize it as a branding opportunity. So hey, people are transitioning from cable to YouTube. Let me do similar types of content on YouTube, and we're going to measure it in that sense. And the other set of people that we see coming to YouTube influencer marketing are folks who've been doing attribution marketing through pay-per-click, through banner ads, through Instagram ads, through Facebook ads, and say, hey, this is great. We've got a clickable link, and we can measure the success of this just like other digital marketing channel. And the sad thing is, a lot of times we see that the way YouTube is measured from an influencer perspective is often decided based upon what part of the organization owns this marketing channel. So if it's PR or comms versus social versus growth versus acquisition versus branding, a lot of times the metrics flow based upon that sub-organization at that sub-organizational level, as opposed to truly measuring success. So let's get into this a little bit in terms of the 3 buckets of YouTube influencer marketing. This is a classic marketing funnel, right? Awareness, consideration, conversion. Yes, we could put retention up there, but we're trying to keep it simple. So from an awareness perspective, you see that the YouTube icon, first people are going to start out watching your content on the YouTube platform. And you're not just having passive consumption of data. People have control of what creators they follow and they watch. People have opted into this creator and they want to know what they have to say and recommend. So this is advocacy, not advertising, right? So that's the first thing. We can measure the CPV or CPM. We can certainly measure the engagement, likes, shares, and comments. And we can also measure then the click-through rate. So now someone is saying, I'm moving outside of the YouTube platform and I'm going over to you and in your platform, Mr. or Mrs. Brand. And so now on the brand platform, I can see what the quality of that session is. So first, what am I paying from a cost per session perspective? What's the quality? How many pages are they visiting? How long are they staying on? We consistently see that influencer as an inbound source delivers much higher quality traffic to your website. You certainly have a good sense for what the value to your organization is on a per session basis. So this is very trackable. Conversion is a little bit more straightforward. Number of new customers, the value of the product, how long they stay with you. And so conversion is a really important part of the funnel because ultimately that's what all brands are trying to do. But if you notice up here, there's 2 important dashed arrows, right? So we're talking about attributable versus unattributable traffic. And this is something that has been really problematic for people running YouTube influencer marketing campaigns for a long time. Here's what we know. There's a lot of people that are never going to click on a vanity URL, right? I'm not going to let you track me. I'm instead going to go directly to the URL myself rather than be tracked. Or I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search it and I'm going to track and follow. Historically, we have not been able to track what those people, we've not been able to attribute that traffic to a particular campaign. But frankly, we've thought that that's just not good enough. And we honestly see this being true for a lot of brands. I'll let people soak this in for a quick second. You're ultimately trying to target a customer, right? You're not trying to have a channel be successful. You're trying to connect with people. And I've shared this with a lot of our brand partners and a lot of very senior brand leaders, and almost every single time the reaction is, that one hits a little bit close to home. And yeah, that's totally how we do things. But frankly, this just isn't good enough. It's 2019, and to not be able to measure influencer marketing on YouTube more effective, we just weren't okay with that. And as a leading influencer marketing agency, we took it upon ourselves to try to crack this code. So here's what we've done. We've partnered with the world's largest provider of clickstream data. Quick tangent, for those of you who don't know what clickstream data is basically when you're able to follow a user around the internet, seeing all of their activities. So this is basically getting permission at the user level. It's not tracking someone with cookies. It's not tracking someone through an attributable URL. It's a user who's giving permission to be able to be tracked around the internet in an anonymized and aggregated way. So we did a study with 3 of our brand partners. I should note that Grubhub was not one of those brand partners for this. And we tracked 158 different YouTube integrations. So spots where the brand was mentioned from as part of a campaign, where again, going back where the YouTuber talked about the brand, included the URL on screen, verbally said it, and there was a clickable link in the description. So over 150 of these integrations, we had over 150,000 people in the panel of clickstream data actually view those videos. And we found some really, really interesting things. And for us, we thought this is the very first time that anyone has really been able to say, what is the previously unattributable traffic that is associated with this that now we can say really was effective in terms of driving traffic. So I think I mentioned this earlier, but just to clarify, so this is unattributable traffic as someone who watches a video, and now we can see if that person went to Google, searched the brand, went to the website, made a purchase, now we can tell that this was unattributable, but we know that the person watched the video and immediately took that action. And we could follow this out over a period of months. For the purpose of this study and the data we're going to share, we only looked at 7 days after the video, but certainly we could go out further and you see there's even more attributable or unattributable traffic tied to that. But at that point, it becomes harder to say it was the point of decision for a consumer. It's more a contributing factor. So previously, when we would be able to look at sessions from an influencer campaign, when we could measure things through a clickable link, we would see one consumer, that's the street light. That's how we were measuring things. Now, instead of trying to look at things at night, we bring it into the sunshine of day. We actually see that for every one we could measure before, there are 5 more people from a YouTube influencer campaign that are going to a brand's website. And we think this is a pretty big deal. But at the end of the day, we're trying to sell things, right? So what does this mean for conversions? Well, it means that for every one person who made a purchase through an attributable link, there's actually 3 more people, so 4 total, who are making this purchase, which is something that we find really compelling. And I should also note that this allows us to look at third-party resellers as well, not just your brand. So if something was purchased on Amazon or at Target or at Best Buy, an online shop, we're able to track this now, whereas we all know those are oftentimes hard sources to be able to get data from. So we're really excited about this in terms of what this means. Happy to chat more. We've got a white paper coming out, which I guess is out now that we can share with you as well. But I think this is a really important piece of data in terms of recognizing the effectiveness of YouTube influencer marketing. But again, YouTube influencer marketing and influencer marketing as a whole is really only one part of the marketing mix. We see that influencer helps other channels. We are really big believers in the portfolio approach. So we want your portfolio of marketing options to be really, really successful. We don't want influencer by itself to be the barometer of success, because we know that influencer is going to make your paid search better. We know it's going to make your Facebook response better. And really, it's about everything being combined together. Okay, so just a few takeaways. First and foremost, I think this is an important one. No Hummers on the first date. It's a bad idea. I'll leave that there. Number 2, Instagram as an influencer channel is very meh. It's not very aspirational. There's some good things to it, but it's certainly not aspirational. Twitch is a fantastic platform for brands that are willing to take on a little bit more risk and rawness. It's certainly been really successful for Grubhub, and it can be for a lot of brands out there. YouTube influencer marketing campaigns can be measured successfully. It exists. We're happy to talk more about that as well. And I have some bad news about Grubhub is that it's actually not a very cool brand or company if you don't like food.
We're not for you then.
But if you like food, Grubhub's awesome, and we absolutely love working with Grubhub. So with that, Jess and I are going to take some questions.
Yeah. Cool. I can start? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. First question, why is working with an agency helpful when it comes to influencer marketing? It's interesting. We did influencer marketing in-house, and once we started to scale or explore new channels like Twitch, that's where we felt like our gap was. So bringing on someone like Outloud to help us manage that was successful to help us scale and kind of experiment, like I said before. And they're really just an extension of our team. And I think too, like just being able to give us kind of the rules of the road when it comes to influencers. I think as a brand marketer, you want to control the message. I want to make sure it's perfect and on brand and has all our messaging points. And they kind of held our hand and basically said, like, look, you need to kind of let the process be what it is. And so having someone kind of provide counsel like that, I think is really helpful. And then it goes without being said, but just like having a lens on how we measure this channel as well. At Grubhub, we're rigorously analytical. We do a lot of our media buying and planning in-house, but this is where we were deficient. So bringing on an agency to help really kind of craft that messaging, that measurement framework is really, really critical.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I'll dive into one more maybe, which I think is good. What type of products, in your opinion, fit each platform the best? Do you want to maybe start on that? Pick a platform that you're excited about, maybe even Twitch, whatever you want.
Yeah, what fits our product best? I mean, Twitch has been really successful. Like I said before, like it is like the perfect occasion for delivery. I would say, we've obviously seen some success with bigger, more traditional awareness channels like TV. From an engagement standpoint, Instagram is still really, really successful for us, and we love like personifying the brand through Instagram stories. So those have been really successful for us. We're continuing to explore kind of other dimensions of live streaming in the gamer space too, like I said, with Mixer. When we look at kind of the cost per response between kind of Mixer and Twitch, Mixer has been really, really effective for us. So that's really interesting as well. And then I talked a little bit about just like the live streaming space in general. We're kind of going from, we really as a brand kind of want to own like live tune-in occasions. So when you think about those, you think about sports and award ceremonies and, gaming tournaments and things like that. And we've started to kind of take a toe dip into the live streaming space from a content and music perspective. So that is really exciting to us. So you'll see more of that next year from Grubhub.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that too. It's going to be good. Just to maybe build on that with some other platforms as well. So we feel like Instagram is a fantastic platform for products that are visually appealing, where if you can get a product by seeing a still image of it, Instagram's great, do it all day. For products that require a little bit more storytelling, we love YouTube, right? YouTube's a fantastic platform. For anything that connect with the gaming industry, Twitch is really great. For educational content, we think that YouTube's great. There's a wonderful educational community that exists out there. We see some interesting things happening with LinkedIn. It's early days there, but we think that is a source of opportunity as well. And I think, Jess mentioned this early, but it's just for almost any brand, it's important to be willing to experiment. So we've run TikTok campaigns. TikTok as an influencer campaign is still, as an influencer platform is still very much growing. The hashtag ad dings the feed pretty significantly, so you're not going to get nearly as many views as you typically would if you run with a TikToker. But that can be really effective if you're targeting a very young demographic. TikTok is huge and growing. So ultimately, it's going to depend on what your goals are for any brand. I know, canned, boring answer, but it's also very true. Okay, so aside from personal influencers, have you done campaigns with lifestyle community channels on Instagram to reach millions of millennials/Gen Z users? Short version is yes. For that classic millennial market, we've done a lot with some big brands to try to enhance brand awareness. It's great for being able to be in the zeitgeist. So when you have Tyler Oakley or Dude Perfect, or being able to talk about your product, people talk. There's a great word of mouth aspect to that, in addition to all that can be measured. But it can be really meaningful when it comes to building a brand. We did a lot of work with 23andMe in terms of building up their brand, and so that can be really, really successful. I'd say what's great about influencer marketing is you can really zone in and target pockets. So whether you want a little bit of an older demographic or a younger, you don't really need to look at the platform in aggregate, because there are channels on YouTube that have an older audience. There's those that have a much younger audience, and that's really true across platforms. So it really depends on what your objectives are as a brand, more so than anything, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Can tackle the measurement one a little bit.
Okay.
Question is, what products, tools do you use to track cost per response on Twitch and TV? We use a platform called TV Squared. But we're currently working with another one of our media partners to build more of a proprietary measurement tool. Because we've scaled this Twitch so significantly, we need to keep that data close to the vest in-house. So that's kind of the next step for us. And as far as what we're tracking on Twitch, obviously I talked about cost per response, but said that that's not the silver bullet. We're still looking at engagement. We are still providing streamers with promo codes. We're driving those viewers to custom landing pages, so there's the best experience possible. We can provide them with a softer landing to convert them. So we look a lot like that. Obviously CPAs as well, cost per acquisition. But I think the big thing for me, especially in this space, that I think often performance marketers at Grubhub maybe neglect a little bit, is just overall sentiment and perception of the brand in this space. I look at maybe a little too much the chat bot and just see how we are landing as a brand. And I think for the first couple of integrations last year, we started a year ago, we started with 2 integrations with 2 streamers, and now we've scaled to over 800 plus integrations with 50 plus streamers. So insane. It's been kind of an insane ride this last year. And what we've noticed is, just through kind of sentiment tracking and things like that, is we're a great brand fit. No one is calling that streamer a sellout anymore. Food is kind of a natural kind of integration into this channel. So that I really care deeply about that. And I think one of our goals is, ultimately we kind of want to be kind of the food delivery of esports. So hopefully we'll get there soon.
Absolutely. Okay, well, it looks like we are about out of time, but I think we can stick around for other questions if people want to come chat with us afterwards. Well, thanks everybody, we appreciate it.